We were doing that the first year, and kind of like a year into that, like I guess I just wanted a goal. So I came up with the idea to kind of hike in all 50 states. I think I was probably about like halfway already, maybe like a little over halfway. And I was like, okay, this would be a fun, like kind of a unique spin on just not just traveling to all the 50 states, but also like making sure I like hiked, obviously, and experienced like the outdoor side of every single state.
Welcome. This is Lauren Stites, and you are listening to Her Side of the Trail. On this episode, we are speaking with Lydia Weigel from Lost With Lydia. Lydia has accomplished her goal of hiking in all 50 states. So we talk about what her next goal is, what some of her favorite trails were, and also her interaction with quicksand. So let's get into it. Hey, Lydia, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I'm so excited to talk to you about your endeavors, your hikes across the country. This is very exciting for me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Excited to talk about hiking all over the US.
I have to tell you one that I'm pretty sure you're the only person I know who has hiked in all 50 states, so congratulations.
Thank you.
I know also that you're kind of nomadic at this point, so where are you speaking with me right now?
I'm in Utah right now. I'm in southern Utah in Hurricane. It's like written hurricane, but it's pronounced hurricane, I learned. But it's right outside of Zion National Park.
I was gonna say, are you close to like Bryce and Zion? That's awesome. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
is that are you headed there, or have you just been there, or?
I've been here for a few weeks, so I just have a few more days left.
Okay.
I'm actually, this is like my last few days traveling full time. I'm moving to Denver like in like 2 days.
Oh, what a great area to live, and still lots of great
Yeah.
hiking nearby there. Where did you grow up then, or where did you live before you started your journey?
I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
But before I started my journey of traveling full time, I lived in Dallas, Texas.
Okay,
So
so you've lived all over.
all over the place.
So you've accomplished the goal of hiking in all 50 states, but was that an actual goal of yours, or did that just kind of happen naturally?
It was a goal for a while, but it wasn't like always a goal. It wasn't like originally a goal. So I guess to step back a little, like as you mentioned, I'm nomadic. So my husband and I left to travel full time at the end of 2021. And for us, that has meant typically like living out of short-term rentals all around the US. So we try to stay somewhere for like a month at a time and have a stable home base because we also bring our cat along. Um, we were doing that the first year, and kind of like a year into that, like I guess I just wanted a goal. Like I'm very like I'm a big planner. I'm goal oriented. So I
It's good to
wanted
have
like,
goals.
yeah, it's like when you're nomadic and you can like go anywhere, I think it's helpful to have like something guiding me of like where to go. So I
I
came up
get
with the
that.
idea to kind of hike in all 50 states. So I was probably, I don't know when I came up with it exactly. I think I was probably about like halfway already, maybe like a little over halfway. And I was like, okay, this would be a fun, like kind of a unique spin on just not just traveling to all the 50 states, but also like making sure like hiked, obviously, and experienced like the outdoor side of every single state. And like
Yeah,
I didn't
no,
want to just like go to a gas, step into it. I wanted to make sure I saw like the outdoor side of every state.
I mean, this country offers so many different landscapes, and different
Exactly.
environments. So yeah, to see what it's like in all the 50 states, I don't blame you. Yeah, get out there.
Hmm.
Enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So when did you officially check off that 50th state?
Yeah, it was just about like 6 months ago or less. It was last November of 2024, and it was with Hawaii. Like
Oh,
I
nice.
knew for a while that I wanted to save like somewhere really cool for last, and so Hawaii was like an obvious choice, being like so hard to get to. So I was like, yeah, we gotta
Definitely.
like the other state. I mean, I think every state is beautiful, so I don't want to like knock any of them, but I didn't want to like save Nebraska or Delaware for last. Like a couple of
Yeah.
my last ones, like I wanted it to be like really special. So yeah, it's Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, you got to fly there. You can't drive there. It's a
Exactly.
lot of
And I had
effort.
already done like Alaska before starting the goal. So Hawaii
Gotcha.
it is.
Gotcha. All right, so you've been all across the country, like we just said, all the different kind of landscapes, environments. One thing I've noticed is that on the East Coast, I feel like our trails are much different than if you're in the western half of the US. Not just our trails though, but also like our trail markers, things like that. What kind of differences have you noticed across the country?
Yeah, I definitely think I think you hear this a lot that the East Coast doesn't have switchbacks and
Yeah,
the
very,
West
we're
Coast
lacking in those.
does. Yes, I definitely think that's true. I assume it's just like the terrain is rockier in like New England and the East Coast, so it was harder to build switchbacks, and maybe they're like older. So it was, there's like the trail building styles like evolve and change. So that's one, less switchbacks on the East Coast. But besides that, it really just varies on like the different types of landscapes and the different types of like parks you're in. So like I think that national parks typically tend to have like the nicest trails because they do such a beautiful job in like incorporating them into the landscape. Like it always feels typically like you can't say anything for everything, but typically the national park trails are just like so well built and like or they don't even have to be like have like a painted trail marker because they've built it in a way that you like know where you're going, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
It's very
So I think
obvious that that's the way to go,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So I think like national parks tend to have really nice trails, and then state parks usually have really like nice trails as well, like well marked, but that just totally depends on the state. So like each state sometimes will have their own like styles of how they mark trails and how they build trails. And then it just depends on the landscape. Like in Florida, you'll see like a lot of boardwalk trails because it's like on top of swampy landscape. And so you'll see that in Georgia and like Louisiana, like landscapes that are more marsh and wetland like versus like obviously a mountainous trail is going to be different.
And that makes sense, but that's cool. It's
Hmm.
really nice that you've been able to see all of those different kinds of terrains. What would be your favorite environment to hike in? Do you have, like, is it the swamp? Is it the Rocky? Is it, what's your favorite place?
My personal favorite is definitely mountains, specifically with alpine lake views, like
Mm-hmm.
a glacier fed lake that where the water is like a brilliant blue turquoise
It's like the
color,
same
like
color as the
that.
sky, like just blue. Yeah, that's
Yes, so
amazing.
that blue, green, maybe a glacier behind it. That's my favorite. And then just anything mountain. But really, I love everything. Like, I think part of the reason like I did this goal is because I just love variety. Like, so I love the desert too. Like the desert's probably like a close second. I think
Okay.
it's like both the desert and the mountains are so different from where I grew up in Ohio and then where I like last lived in Dallas. So they still amaze me, to see landscapes like that where I'm like just being in Utah right now and like seeing these red rocks, like nothing like that in Ohio. So it just always makes me happy.
And then you also feel like so small, right? Because it feels
Yeah,
like it's never ending. And you're like, I'm just this tiny little speck in this huge area. And that's amazing.
that is
I
like
love it.
the best feeling for me. Yeah, whether
Yeah.
it's like on a mountain, canyon, tall trees, like in California redwoods. I love that feeling.
The redwoods are, yeah, they're incredible. You never feel
Yes.
so small next to a redwood. You're like, oh my goodness, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Maybe you touched on it a little bit, but then, so what would be your favorite state that you've hiked in? Would it be like Colorado? Was it Arizona? Like, what would you say your favorite was? Or was it Hawaii?
It's hard. Obviously, I have a lot of favorites. I think I'm gonna name two. Like
Okay, I'll
one
take it.
is Montana, but because of Glacier National Park is my favorite place on earth. So that's, has the mountains and alpine lakes that I was talking about. Like I love Glacier National Park. It just like makes me so happy. But then the other one I have to name is Utah. I've done like more hiking all over Utah. Like for Montana, to be fair, I've really only hiked like in Glacier and near Glacier. But in Utah, I've kind of hiked all over. Like they have such incredible variety here. So like southern Utah has the desert and the red rocks, and it has like canyons and arches and waterfalls and like really cool rock formations, hoodoos. But then in northern Utah, close to Salt Lake City, you have mountainous and you have those like alpine lakes that I'm obsessed with. So you have like
Kind of the
really
best of both
incredible
worlds.
variety. Yeah, and other states have that too, like Colorado, California also kind of have some of the both of that, but I don't know, I'm obsessed with Utah and hiking all over Utah, so that's
My
my favorite. Really, they're all it's hard. Like yeah, Colorado could be up there, California, Washington. There's so many good
Yeah, I mean,
ones.
I know it's hard. It's like almost like picking like your favorite child or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just pick
Yeah.
one, but I was just curious. My
Yeah.
parents have gone to many of the national parks, have hiked in many of the national parks across the state, but Bryce Canyon is my mom's favorite.
Mhm.
Like she loves the hoodoo, she loves it all.
I
So,
love Bryce Canyon too.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
beautiful. I
Yeah.
love the hoodoos. And I'll probably change my mind in a year, like living in Colorado. Like I've done a lot of hiking there, but once I do more, yeah.
You'll be like over it and then you'll be like, "Okay, I'd rather be in the redwoods and,
Yes,
all of that."
exactly. I love all of it.
All right. So again, I think I'm going to ask you a difficult question, but if you had across the 50 states that you've done, all the hikes that you've done, if you could share, it doesn't have to be like your favorite five that you've done, but like name five that you would like recommend to anybody, like your top five, like off the map, off the top of your head.
Yeah. So I have to name at least one in Glacier because I'm obsessed. So I would say Iceberg Lake. So you
Okay.
hike up it's pretty gradual and you get to an alpine lake that's literally full of these like floating icebergs. So I think that
It
that is
sounds
just
amazing.
so
It
cool,
sounds so
so
beautiful.
wild. Yeah, it's gorgeous. And that one is, not, it's a good, like, moderate. It's not like too difficult. It's just kind of like a
Okay.
gradual, I forget what the length, it might be like a little bit longer, like 8 miles, but it's like pretty gradual to just like such a cool, incredible view. So that's one. Okay, I'm gonna go up to New England and the New Hampshire White Mountains, the Franconia Ridge Loop.
Okay. Yes, I've heard of that
Have
one.
you done that one?
Yes. I haven't
Um,
done it. I've heard of it. It's a goal.
That's a really cool hike. That one is pretty challenging. Um, you kind of like scramble up and down, and then you hike on a mountain ridge for a while. So you summit, I believe, two of the New Hampshire
Of the
4000s, which are
4,000.
like, yeah, 4,000-foot peaks in New Hampshire. And then you just have like all these incredible mountain views. You have some waterfalls. And what's really cool is that they have like a building where it's like people stay there if they're doing like a
Okay.
through hike, maybe like the
Gotcha.
Appalachian Trail, but you can go as like a day hiker and buy like soup and like a treat. So that's
Oh,
a really
that's so
nice like
nice.
reprieve. It's so nice. Like that's like, your climb up. It's pretty difficult. You do like the beautiful like hike along the ridge and then you get to go to the hut. The mountain hut is what it's called. And then I forget there's another name for it. But anyway,
That's like a good
you can
goal
get
though.
like a
Like I'm getting
treat.
my soup.
Exactly. I got like warm potato soup there, and then you
That's
just like
amazing.
finish your hiking down. So that one is really cool. But that area also has so many hikes that I love. Another state I love, New Hampshire.
I was gonna say I can't say I've ever eaten soup at the top of a mountain, but that sounds like a good
Exactly.
time.
Like
I like
hot
it.
soup, because it's like getting pretty cold up there a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there like end of September, so it was like kind of chilly.
So that was
But yes.
two. Do we have another one?
Okay, of course. I'm gonna go with one in Utah. So I'm gonna go with the Devil's Garden Loop in
Okay.
Arches National Park. So that's a cool trail because you see seven major arches. I think it's like maybe an 8 mile loop. So you see some really cool arches. There's like a double arch, there's landscape arch, which I don't know the exact statistic, but I think it's potentially the longest arch in the world, or at
Oh
least the
wow.
longest one in like North America. There
Okay.
might be like a couple longer in like China, but that's a really cool arch, like long and skinny. And that one you can see like on a shorter hike too, just like a couple miles. But if you do the whole loop, then you just see tons of cool arches and like a lot of really
Yeah,
cool desert
to see
landscape.
multiple of them. Yeah, that
Yes.
sounds great. Okay. Okay. I'm writing all these down.
Yes. That's three. Maple Pass Loop in North Cascades National Park in Washington is another one. So this is another loop trail that it's just gorgeous mountain views the whole time. And you see this like tiny lake down in like the center of a valley. So you kind of like hike up around it. You can hike to that. lake as well if you want, but you just have these like really good like 360 mountain views the whole time.
That
Which
sounds
by the way,
fun.
North Cascades National Park is another one of my favorite places, like similar to Glacier kind of, but a lot less people visit. So that's a really good
Yeah, I was
park.
gonna say you hear people talk about Glacier a lot, but I haven't heard too many people talk about North Cascades. So it's good to know
I
that
think
it's a
it
good
just
park to
has like a
visit.
short season and there's
Okay,
like only so much you can do if you're not doing like serious hikes. And
gotcha.
because I'm always like, why doesn't this get, it's only like 2 hours from Seattle, but I guess it's like the road, I think the road closes due to like snow for a lot of the year. It's a really cool park. Highly recommend it.
Okay, one more.
I'm gonna do Havasu Pie in Arizona, which for those who don't know, it's like a backpacking trip. It's super expensive. You have to like get a permit from the Havasupai tribe there, and it's sold as like a um 3 night trip. Like you so you hike in and it's like in the Grand Canyon. So you hike in and then camp there for 3 nights, and then there's these waterfalls there that are just like brilliant blue in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So they're just gorgeous. Like the really famous one is Havasu Falls, but then there's like several others that you hike to. There's Mooney Falls, Beaver Falls, and then there's some that are more like secret-ish. And then you
Now,
just
how
like
long
camp
is
down
that?
there.
How many miles is
Um,
that trail?
so to get to the campground, like on your first day hiking in, I believe it's 10 miles. And then it's
Okay.
kind of like choose your own. So one of the waterfalls is like right at the campground. Well, they're kind of at two ends of the campground. And then it's like the add-on. So Beaver Falls from the campground is like 6 miles
Oh, okay.
round trip. The longest one that some people do is to the confluence, which is where like two rivers meet. And that's like a
Mm-hmm.
long day. That's like 16 or 20 miles or
Yeah.
something. But the
Mm,
rest of it's like
yeah, no,
just a couple miles. But then you hike back out
no.
like 10 more miles.
That's awesome though. That sounds like a reasonable backpacking trip.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
really
awesome.
cool. It's really like bucket list worthy.
That's really cool. Well, thank you for
Mhm.
that list. I'm sure if everybody hasn't done those yet, now they can add them to their bucket list. So you've been in all 50 states. Was there one state that, like, when you did hike in it, like, it kind of surprised you? Like, one that you were like, well, I'll do this state, but I'm not sure about it. Was there anything like that?
There's a few like Kansas and Nebraska both come to mind. So like Western Kansas has some really cool badland rock formations that I really like. There's like Little Jerusalem State Park is a really cool one. It's like badland views, and then there's some really cool like rock formations all around Kansas. So I'm really into Kansas. And then Nebraska kind of has similar. It looks a lot different because it's more like grasslands with then rock formations versus Kansas is more deserty, I guess, for the areas that I'm thinking of. But yeah,
Yeah.
Nebraska, the northwest portion is really cool, and they have Scottsbluff National Monument is one of the areas that's really beautiful, and then Chadron State Park there has like these rock buttes like coming up out of like these rolling grassy green hills. So yeah, I think the Midwest in general, like the states that are like considered the flyover states, I think have like surprised me the most.
They're flat-ish, right? So you don't
Exactly.
expect them to have great hiking. On Instagram, I follow a couple accounts and some of them have some really awesome hikes in Kansas where I'm like, that's Kansas? Like, okay. All
Right.
right, Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, I can
Definitely.
understand how like they would have surprised you then. Have you hit all the trails on your bucket list or do you have some more trails that you're like that you can't wait to do?
The list is never ending. So
Right?
yeah, definitely have not hit everything on the
It's
bucket
yeah.
list.
Is there anything like, in the next couple months that you're like so excited that you're going to be hitting up soon or
My goal now is to visit all the US national parks.
okay.
So some of those are like kind of highest on the list. But for the next couple months, I'm hoping to hike my first Colorado 14er this summer.
All
So we'll
right. Good luck
see.
with that. That'll be
Yeah.
fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah. So that's one. But then besides that, it's kind of like all the national parks I haven't been to yet. So I know I'm visiting Sequoia and Kings Canyon in
Okay.
California this summer. I'm excited to see that landscape. And I haven't been to Yosemite yet. So that's definitely like one of the like most bucket list parks back up on that's still on my list.
So you've also been hiking out of the country. How many countries have you hiked in?
I've only hiked in, I think, like less than 10, maybe
That's a
around
fair
10.
amount. That's a
It's like
fair
I know
amount.
I've 'cause I know I've been to 30 countries, but I haven't was like most of them were before I really got into hiking.
When
So
did
yeah,
you get
something
into
recent.
hiking? Did you hike a lot as a child or?
No, not at all. I got into hiking, I mean, basically with the pandemic, like a lot of people. I kind of started like a little bit before the pandemic, but yeah, like 2019, 2020 was when I really got into it. I think like 2019, I visited Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado for the first time. And I think that really inspired me to just like keep visiting national parks. And then when the pandemic happened, I just had more, I canceled like a lot of trips and just focused on visiting Texas state parks mostly when I was living in Texas. So I was like, just got really into spending time outdoors then.
So look how much you've accomplished in the last 6 years. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Now I've hiked all 50. It's wild.
So to go back to the countries, then you have hiked though in many countries. I think many countries. What would you say the differences are like hiking, are the trail markers different? I mean, I don't know. Is it different
Mhm.
hiking in another country or do you feel like it's still like the same? Like everybody's the same, hikers are the same no matter where you are in the world.
It's different, but I think it's like, country by country dependent. I guess like in Guatemala, like it was different that you kind of had to have a guide for a lot of the trails. Like there was one hike I did to like a sunrise view, and it's like you could do it on your own, but it's like really, really not recommended. Stuff like that. So I had to like, hiking with a guide. In other countries has been different, which I guess I've only done that in Guatemala and Tanzania. So yeah, hiking with a guide at sometimes. This is kind of sad. In Madeira, Portugal, there was like, and I've seen this maybe other countries too. There's like was be a lot of trash, I guess, but the trash
Uh,
was mostly like toilet paper. Like sometimes there'll be like a culture to like not to like, they'll pack out like bigger trash, but to that like that they're okay with leaving behind toilet
they,
paper,
th-
like feeling
they
like it
think that'll biodegrade.
biodegrades.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which, but I don't want to be like, oh, hiking in Portugal is dirty or something. That's not true. It just depends on, who's maintaining the trail too, I think. Like it's in the US sometimes you get a lot of trash too.
We have a park in Philadelphia that in the summertime there's just so much trash and it's just because the rangers can't keep up with it, and people
Exactly.
just yeah. So it's everywhere. It's not just in Portugal. It's just everywhere, yeah.
Yes. Yes, for
Did
sure.
you notice too, like safety? Like I always feel like in the US we're a little bit more, safety conscious. Do you notice where we have like maybe chains or barriers and things like that and especially in
Mhm.
like national parks, state parks, whatever, where they're like, no, don't go past this. We don't want anyone to hurt themselves. Is it like that too?
It just depends on
Okay.
the trail. I think, in Europe, I think that they are kind of do the same in like having a lot of those barriers and like safety considerations, but other country, Africa and South
Like you take the
America,
risk.
not
Yeah.
quite as much. But
Yeah.
that's where I like hiked more with like a guide. So it
Gotcha.
just depends. Like
So the guide
Patagonia,
is your safety mechanism in that respect.
I think so for what I did in Guatemala. Patagonia had really nice hiking trails that I didn't do like a guide for any of those.
Gotcha. Do you have any fun little stories to share? I have to say, I did see the on your Instagram just recently about the bison that the
Oh
people
my
that you had to
gosh.
evade. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my
But do you have any
gosh.
other
Yeah.
like fun, crazy stories like that to share?
Just recently in Utah, like I lost my shoe in quicksand.
Oh no.
I didn't know, like, I feel like I didn't really know that quicksand was real or that it was like that common, but I guess it's like pretty common in Utah and Arizona. And I was in the Slaw Canyon, Buckskin Gulch, and I was just like walking. There's a water crossing basically with like this thick mud, and I was wearing like sandal water shoes, and my foot just like went down and I just like couldn't get the shoe off. I like pulled my foot out, but not the shoe, and it was
Oh
like
no.
freezing cold water. So I like kept going and left it there. But then my husband just says like determined to get it back. So he's like digging around, and it's like deep. So he's like reaching down into the mud and like looking for it. and he found it, and
Goodness.
it was like
He
just
found it.
covered in mud. He found it. It took a while. I'm so glad he found it because like leave no trace. And I had other
Yeah, but
shoes, but like I would have had to get my boots wet. But
that
it
is
was really
some
impressive that he
dedication.
found it. Yes, but apparently it was quicksand. Then we like talked to a local the next day, and like that's quicksand. Like it just like I don't know, it just like sucks you down.
Like the movies though, where you just like slowly fall into it, I guess, or
Like
maybe it is.
not
I
for
don't
me,
know.
luckily. I mean, like maybe if I was just
Maybe
yeah, no, it was just that it like ate my shoe.
it just ate it. But that is absolutely incredible that your husband found the
Yeah,
shoe. Maybe he has
I
like a new
know.
calling. He needs to start hunting down lost items or something.
Seriously, yeah, he was dedicated.
I appreciate your time and sharing your adventures across, all 50 states with us. Before I let you go, though, I have to ask you a kind of difficult question. If you could only do like one kind of hike now for the rest of your life, would it be a hike like to a view, to a beautiful view, or would it be a hike to a waterfall?
Of you. I think it's like, yeah, it goes back to that feeling of being small. Some
Hmm.
waterfalls do that, but views just, I don't know, I just love to just be like looking out at a mountain or like a valley and just feel like you're on top of the world and that you're so small and just love
Yeah,
it.
like it just keeps going and you never
Yeah.
feel like it'll ever end. Where can everybody find you? Your social media, you have a website?
Yeah, it's Lost with Lydia, Lydia on everything. So it's lostwithlydia.com, and then Instagram's my primary platform, Lost with Lydia. Then I'm on TikTok, Facebook.
And then people can follow your adventures and more fun stories. Hopefully no more lost shoes in quicksand.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks again, Lydia. I do appreciate your time and good luck with moving to Denver and enjoying all the upcoming national parks that you'll be exploring.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Her Side of the Trail. There are more hiker stories to hear, so please follow along to hear them as soon as they come out. And if you like this episode, please share it with your friends or on social media. Her Side of the Trail is hosted and produced by me, Lauren Stites. I can't wait to share another hiker story with you next episode.